Welcome back to the Foundation You podcast, where we talk about real stories, struggles, and strategies dedicated to making you the best version of yourself. It really does start with you. I'm your host, Dr. Young-Dorn, and on today's episode, I think so many people, especially single parents, are going to relate to. My guest today is Diane, a single mom of two who, after a difficult divorce, had to completely rethink how she approached money. Like many parents, she suddenly found herself responsible for everything: raising two kids, managing a household, and figuring out how to create financial stability all on her own. What I love about Diane's story is that she didn't just survive it, she got smart about it. She became incredibly intentional with her spending, learned how to stretch every dollar, and discovered practical strategies to save money that most people never even think about. From Costco hacks to grocery apps, deal sites, and simple mindset shifts around spending, Diane has turned frugal living into an art form. And speaking of money and financial stability, before we dive in, I want to quickly mention something for those of you who might be looking for ways to create a little more financial breathing room in your own life. If saving money is one piece of the puzzle, increasing your income on the other side can be a powerful one. That's actually why I created my online course, where I teach people how to take what they already know, their knowledge, experience, or skills, and turn it into an online course or digital product using AI-assisted tools. It's designed for teachers, coaches, professionals, or really anyone who has knowledge that they want to share and wants to create an additional stream of income. If you'd like to learn more, you can check it out on my page, FOUNDationYOU.com. And of course, I'll also link it in the show notes. All right, now let's get into today's conversation with Diane, the queen of saving money. Most practical ways to stretch your dollars without sacrificing your quality of life. Hello, Diane. Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning.
Good morning. You are known as Diane, the queen of saving money, so I'm very happy that you're here.
Thank you for having me.
So if you don't know Diane, I'd like you to maybe talk a little bit about yourself, or just tell me a little bit about who you are.
I'm a mom, teacher. I just live my simple life. That's pretty much who I am. I enjoy different things outside of work. I enjoy exercising, reading, but again, very simple things. Okay. A low-key kind of person.
Okay, okay. You are known for Diane, the saving money part. So take us back when life changed. Give us your story. How did you become so, I don't want to say frugal, but very good with money?
I was always very good with money, I would like to think. I was raised that way. But about 15 years ago, I was married and I had two small children. And I knew things were not quite what they should have been. And I ran my credit report. And I learned that I was over $100,000 in debt. That was not my debt. I did not accrue it. That set forth a divorce and all kinds of things. But during that process of learning I was $100,000 in debt, that was not my debt, that I had a house in foreclosure that I did not know about, all of those things, I was reflecting on it, and I realized that over the course of the marriage or the relationship, there were things that I didn't realize at first were problematic. I took care of the kids and I took care of all of those things, and I was told, I'll take care of the money. And so I really had no access to the finances, and it was under the guise of, I'll take care of the bills while you're doing all the other things. And it bothered me a little because I was always very independent with money, and I worked full time before I was married and before I had children. So that part of it bothered me, but because I was taking care of everything else, he made it seem like he was better at it, which I didn't necessarily believe. And I trusted him. So I allowed him to do that. And in the process of those years that transpired, he ran up my credit card debt secretly.
Wow.
And it was when I pulled my credit report, I learned that my last known address was actually his office. So statements and bills were not being sent to me. Initially, it was very hard to deal with. I was humiliated. I was very embarrassed. People asked, how did you not know? And I didn't know. I wasn't spending money. I was home with the kids. I was made to feel like because I was not contributing financially that I really shouldn't be spending a lot of money. And I didn't. I took the kids to things that were free or very little money. I was not using the credit cards. So when people say, how did you not know? I didn't know because I wasn't using them. So I wasn't getting statements for things I wasn't using. And I learned that this debt was monumental. It was massive. I have never seen numbers that high before. That's not how I lived my life. I came into the relationship with no debt, no student loans, excellent credit, and that was just not who I am. I'm not one to live beyond my means. I never was. And so I learned that I had 2 small children, a house in foreclosure, and all of this debt that I did not accrue, but yet I am now responsible for because it was in my name.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Oh my God. How did you navigate that as far as what were your biggest fears? What did you start doing? Like, how did you just freak out? I would have freaked out.
I did freak out. And again, there was the sense of I was humiliated and mortified and embarrassed and all of those things on top of dealing with the overwhelming sense of what am I going to do? I'm not working. I have 2 small children. Where am I going to live? How am I going to support these kids? I had no idea what to do. And then on top of that, you're dealing with a divorce, which is another huge financial drain. And I didn't know what to do at first. And you have all these things coming at you, plus you're responsible for taking care of 2 very young children. I had a toddler and an infant at the time. And at first it was literally day to day. I didn't know what else to do other than take it day to day. And I look back and I'm thinking, if this had happened to me maybe without children, I can see how some people would absolutely cave and this would become so overwhelming that you would shut down. But because I had children, I couldn't do that. I had to get up every day. I had to do for them. So I had to first take it day by day. But second to that, I really had to figure out how I was going to fix this. Because I couldn't live my life this way. Again, it wasn't who I am, and I could not live my life this way. But in the same sense, it wasn't $100 in debt. It was a substantial amount of debt. So I really had to formulate some kind of a plan to do that. But getting rid of the debt was obviously front and foremost because I now was also tackling a divorce. So I had to really come up with a plan as to how I was going to get out of this.
Okay, so what was that financial plan? What did you end up doing?
At first, I had to try to save, and I was able to get access to some of the money that was joint marital assets. So it wasn't a ton. There was not a lot of money there, but it was enough to, let's say, buy groceries or pay the electric bill or something small. But the debt was the problem, and I really had to look at my options there. On one hand, I was infuriated because this is not debt I accrued. And when I received all the statements, it was things that, hotel rooms, all kinds of things that were not obviously mine. And I had to make the very difficult decision as to how to get rid of that debt. And I did have to file for bankruptcy. And that was something that really upset me because, as I previously stated, it's not who I am. And I take care of my bills. If I borrow, I pay it back. But this was not my debt. However, when factoring a bankruptcy into a life plan, that is a 10-year hardship that you are now undertaking. So when you file for that, yes, you discharge the debt that was, in this case, not mine. But because I had my name associated with it, for 10 years, you really can't get a credit card. You can't get a car loan. You will struggle to get an apartment. If you are able to get something after a few years, you can, but your interest rates are substantially higher than someone with better credit. And that lives with you for 10 years. And it's not something that I guess the laws really have your back on.
They don't care.
They don't care.
Your name.
It's your name, and that's it. And as I was going through this, I did learn that it is one element of domestic violence, which I was not aware of while I was going through it. It was only after the fact when some people started to learn what I was going through, or I met with the bankruptcy attorney. Those kinds of people were the ones who said, are you aware of this? And I wasn't, because when you think of domestic violence, typically you think of physical abuse. There's an emotional abuse component. And I had no idea that this was considered one of the pillars or parts of a domestic violence relationship.
Financial abuse.
Financial abuse.
Wow.
And so I had no idea that was the case. But if it was a physical issue, then you can get a restraining order.
Okay.
If there is sexual abuse, of course, there's legal ramifications for the person who committed the crime. But in this sense, there is nothing.
Wow.
And there is no recourse for the victim. In this case, was me. There is nothing. They simply don't care.
Right.
If you're a debt, your name, you want to
Right.
discharge it, that's fine. If it's a 10-year hit on your credit, and it's a big deal. So I had to go that route, unfortunately.
This is basically financial abuse and emotional abuse. How did you deal with the years coming? What did you do?
I look back and I wonder how I did it, but
You were in survival mode.
I was basically in survival mode.
Right.
The stress was, I can't even describe the level of stress, because not only am I dealing with all of this and worrying about where my kids are going to live and how I'm going to support them. I have no job. How am I going to pay for daycare? And I was fortunate that I did have some help. I do have family that helped.
Okay.
But I don't even know. I honestly don't know how I did it. At the time, I just literally did it day to day.
Yeah.
I was exhausted mentally. I was physically exhausted. I just had to do it because I had kids. That
Yeah.
was the end. The bottom line is I had to figure out a way to do it.
Yeah, and you did it.
I did it.
Is that when you got your teaching degree?
No, I was a teacher prior to having children.
Okay, so you were a teacher prior, and then you
Yes.
had kids, and then did you go back in that time period, or no?
So, no.
Okay.
So again, one of the things that I learned afterwards was, in addition to me not having any kind of say or control over the money, to back up for a second, it's not that I didn't ask. I did. I asked many times. And I asked for passwords. And I asked for statements. And I said, we need to sit down and go over this. Because if there was something that catastrophically occurred, I needed to know how to pay the bills. And I did try. And there was always an excuse as to why it was not a good time. And so I was dealing
That's
with
the
all
abuse part.
That's yeah.
Obviously.
So that was the abuse part, and I tried so hard, and I thought I was doing the right thing because I didn't go into a marriage thinking I was going to get divorced.
Right.
So I thought I was going to make it work, and I thought we need to sit down and we need to do this. And I knew I deserved access to it, and like we were saying, I was a teacher prior to having children and getting married, and I had my own career that I worked really hard for, and I was proud of it. And once I got married and had kids, I was slowly made to feel like my job was not worth it. Because I was a newer teacher, so was I making a ton of money? No, but it was my money. And after I had children, then it was like, your salary is basically paying daycare. What's the point of it? And so after I took my leave of absence, I never went back to that job.
Okay.
And I struggled with that decision because, again, I worked really hard for that. But part of the financial abuse that I learned of after the fact is that they do make you feel like your job is not worth it or your money is not as good as theirs. Right. And so I was home with my kids for a time when they were very little. But no, I did not go back to that job. So I had to start all over.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then is that when you went to this job, or did you get other jobs in between?
I did have two smaller jobs, like part-time jobs, but working within education prior to the current one.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I literally had to start from scratch.
And then who watched the kids while you were trying to find a job or got the job?
So my mom would help me occasionally, but my older one was already in school full time, and I was able to work it so that I waited until the second one was in kindergarten and then had to working around school.
Got it.
So
schedule.
I had to schedule everything. Everything became a schedule.
I get it.
Yep.
I did that for 10 minutes after so that somebody could pick up them off the bus.
Yeah, it's hard.
10 minutes.
It's extremely difficult, and it's something that I did not plan for or consider when I had kids. This was not in my game plan. This was not in my life plan in any stretch of the imagination.
You don't go into a marriage thinking that you're not going to have an actual partner and teammate and person that can actually help you or help with their own children.
Yes.
Obviously, yeah. All right. How did this change your mindset about money and about being financially stable? Any mindset shifts?
I think a lot of it was when I came into the situation and you realize that you have nothing. And then, again, I didn't really even have the benefit of a credit card.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's terrifying when you're dealing with that. But a lot of times it was very depressing. I can't afford that. And then you look at it like that, and it does become very depressing after a while. I can't afford that. I can't go here. I can't do that. But then if you stop and think about it, is it worth it? So I would change it to, I can't afford this type of a statement to, is it worth it for me to have this? And I think when you look at most things in life, material items, are they really worth it? Yeah, they're nice to have. And I'm not going to discount anyone who likes them. Sure, they're great. You can buy a new sweater, buy a new bag, buy new shoes, and they're great. And sure, I do it too sometimes. But I had to stop thinking about everything as I can't have it to, is it worth it for me to have it? Because for me to have it, sure, it would be nice for the few minutes that it brought joy, but the bill came. Or I didn't have money for something else. So it really became like very intentional in the way I spent money.
Got it. Wow. That's like that minimalist, little minimalist.
Yes, and I still live like that today.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's how you became the queen of saving money.
Yep.
Were you ever embarrassed about having to say that I can't afford that, or anything around money? Were you ever just embarrassed of being so frugal?
I was very private about what I was going through 15 years ago. So there were not a lot of people who actually knew I was dealing with this.
Okay.
So I don't want to say I was embarrassed by the frugality of life. I was more embarrassed by what I was going through.
Got it.
Because I felt like people were going to look at me and think, you're really an idiot. How did you not know? How did you not know this was going on? Was there some embarrassment about being frugal? Yeah, my kids fortunately were on the younger side at the time. So were there things I wish I could have bought them? Yeah. Were there birthday parties I wish they could have maybe attended? Sure. Do they remember them now? No. Yeah, like sometimes I would have to make an excuse as to why I couldn't go somewhere or do something. But I think it was more the embarrassment of what I was going through, and I was very hesitant to share. Most people did not know that this was going on. So my family knew, but I was also very isolated from a lot of people. I had lost a lot of friends that I had. So I didn't really have this huge social network, you can say. Really, it was family. And so there were people like within my social circle that if I said I couldn't go somewhere, it wasn't like we were super close, that they would pry. They slowly would start to find out, of course, what was going on. But I think the embarrassment came more from the circumstance behind the need to be frugal as opposed to being frugal.
Yeah. And how did you get over that?
It took a long time.
Yeah.
Like to this day, in fact, people who watch this won't know that this was what I dealt with for a very long time. If you figure 15 years ago, 10 of those I was dealing with the bankruptcy.
Wow.
It's 15 years in the past is when it began, but I'm still feeling the impacts of it today. It's not something that ever goes away. And it's not just money, and it's not just things that you can buy or not buy, and how you handle money. It's trust. There's a lot of pieces to this that this caused a huge shift in a lot of aspects of my life. It wasn't just financial. So
yeah, any kind of abuse is going to give you that traumatic feeling, and you're going to get triggered when there's other things that come up. And
yeah, and like I said, still to this day, are there big expenses that happen in everyone's world? Your car breaks, an appliance breaks, and to this day, even though I'm in a much better position than I was 15 years ago, I still have that sense of dread, the anxiety. How am I going to pay for this? And I've learned so much in 15 years, but that's still here. It's never going away. I hope someday it does. But for right now, it's still very much a part of who I am. And it's gotten much better. I will say that, but it's something that is always a part of who I am, unfortunately. And it wasn't before.
And the positives of that are the fact that now you know how to save money.
I do.
And that's what we're really going to talk about.
Yes.
How did you teach your kids about money, especially after going through this and them not really seeing that side of it? How did you teach them about what you've learned?
So I think teaching kids about money is especially challenging in this time period because they're not seeing the exchange of money, cash. So they see you just hold up your phone, it's Apple Pay, or you're paying with a card. And when you have young children, they don't understand a credit card, a debit card. So teaching them financial responsibility was something I always wanted to do for them. Even prior to this catastrophic event in my life, it was something that was important to me. And I grew up in a home with 4 children, but a single income home. So my mom did not work. She was home with us. And so they also had to manage money differently than other people may have had to manage money. So I did learn we couldn't have everything when I was a kid. And that was something that I wanted to teach my kids. So when they were younger, and even now, if they wanted something, I unfortunately couldn't provide everything they wanted. And honestly, I think even if I had millions of dollars, I still wouldn't give them a single thing they wanted. I don't think that's teaching them anything. So they had to, at a young age, if they wanted something that was a larger item, let's say, or like a novelty thing, like a new video game or a new gaming console, or just something that was definitely, I was not going to the store and buying something that cost that much money. I simply couldn't. So they learned that they had to save, and they would get money for their birthdays or things like that, and they would save.
Okay.
And what that really taught them, I would hope, if you ask them today, is they couldn't be impulsive.
Okay.
Like, I wanted to get the video game. I needed to save $60 or $70. And for a little child, that's a lot of money. But while you're saving, you're thinking about it. And when you get to the dollar amount that you were striving for and you have the money, now I can go to the store and I can spend all of it on the game. But now, do I really want it? Do I really want to spend all of my money?
Is it worth it?
To spend all of this money that I saved on this one item? Or is it no longer something that's really important to me? And I think a lot of people spend money very impulsively, which maybe we'll get to.
Yeah.
And that's something I really wanted to teach my children, that impulsivity with money is not something that you should do. You should try to avoid it if you can. I think the other thing that I really try to teach them is you spend a lot of money trying to keep up with other people. And so if you could find happiness in things that you already have, and you're not spending money chasing what everybody else has, you're just simply going to be a happier person. You're never going to have everything that everybody else has.
Yeah.
And if you could be happy with what you have, I think in general you'll be better off financially, and you will be a happier person. It's tough to teach kids that, but I hope that as my kids get to be adults, that that's something they hopefully would have learned, that it's really, you know what? You have a house to live in. You may not have everything you want in life, but you have everything you need. And it's really important to think, and
a lot of kids take that for granted.
they take it for granted big time. I think, especially now, it's much harder, I think, for parents to teach children that. It's a very materialistic society, I feel. And so, yeah, you have a house. Is it the biggest house? No.
Yeah.
But you have a home.
Yeah.
And that's something to value. And I hope that my kids learn that. And I hope they've learned something from watching what I've gone through.
Right.
Especially now that they're getting older and they understand a little bit more about my past and how I had to really modify a lot of our lives.
Yeah.
They did not know this when they were young, obviously, but I just
They're
made it
older
part of
now.
it. They are.
Do they know this story? That everything that transpired, or
They know
bits and
I think
pieces?
they know bits and pieces. Again, really out of necessity. Do they know it? But I taught it to them really in a sense of, how do you handle money? Listen, I don't have it.
Right.
And this is what we have to do. So let's do it. And I don't think that they had a different childhood because of it. Again, if you asked them today, they wouldn't remember the toy they wanted when they were 4 and I could not buy, or the place they would love to have gone, but I couldn't afford the admission tickets for all of us to go. But we did other things. So I would hope that's what they would take away from their childhood and take it into adulthood.
Yeah.
You know?
I think a lot of parents buy things, and I'm guilty of this as well, out of guilt.
Yes.
Have you ever done that, or is that just something that you were like, nope?
I couldn't do it. So I didn't. But I would try to make up for it in other ways, because there's a lot of things that you can do with kids. Someone told me when they were very young that kids don't need things; they need their. Yeah. So.
Oh my God, you're making me cry. That's so cute.
So I couldn't always buy them things.
Yeah.
But we went to the park.
Yeah,
we just went to do stuff. We just spent
spending time together is just. Yeah, I actually just remembered something that happened to me where my daughter said to me, my mom,
Yep.
and that was just heart crushing, just, ugh. But I get it. I come from the same background as far as that goes, not having money and understanding. Coming to New York, I actually grew up in Hawaii, so I don't want to talk about too much, but I was poor. I didn't realize I was poor until I got here, into New York, and I realized, oh my God, those were holes in the walls. I could see the sunlight through the walls when I woke up. You don't realize when you're growing up, like you said, you don't realize you didn't get that toy.
Right.
You don't realize you're poor until you go to another place and you actually comparing yourself and, oh my God, there's actually a nice roof here like this. It doesn't even fathom. You just, that's how you live.
Yep.
And you don't realize it. But anyway, so because you learned so much,
Yes.
and you are the queen of saving money, give us some of your tricks. How did you do this? You had to save money. You just didn't have it. So how did you learn about all these tricks? How did you do it?
I think one of the first things I learned was 15 years ago, things were very different, but social media was there. And I started by social media, like using social media platforms. And there's a lot of different sites that you could use on, at the time it was Facebook, because that was the popular one at the time. But they're on every platform. And I started by looking for money saving hacks or couponing sites.
Good deals.
Good deals. And it's something you really have to weed through, because I found a lot of them were geographically specific.
Okay.
So maybe they highlighted small grocery stores that were in the South. We didn't have them here.
Okay.
And so you have to really weed through them. But I did find one that I tell everyone about because I really love it.
Okay.
And it's on Facebook still.
Okay.
But it's called Fierce and Savvy.
Fierce and Savvy.
Yes.
Okay.
And it is a couponing discount site. And I absolutely love it because it highlights things that are very mom friendly.
Okay.
So there's a lot of things like on Kohl's, Target, Amazon, like things that you can use no matter where you live. And a lot of them are online deals. So you don't have to pack the kids up and go to the store.
Okay.
Like you can get, she'll post things where you can get 6 brand new bath towels from Kohl's. And I think I paid $10.
Wow.
Yeah. Like she puts like very practical, mom friendly
Okay.
things around the holidays. There's always toys. And I'm not talking like ones that your kids wouldn't want. I'm
Right.
talking about Lego sets, things that the kids do want. And she starts sharing them and posting them during the year. I would see them. I would get them when I found like a really good deal on them and just save them for a holiday or birthday or something that was coming. And so that was one site that I really love. I still follow it today and I still find incredible things. And my kids are older, so I'm not buying toys as much. But when I see something and I know of somebody who has a child of that age, I absolutely share it.
Wow.
And
what is it called again?
Fierce and Savvy.
Okay. Can you sponsor us? And well, discount code Diane.
Yeah, she posts, or I'm not sure if it's a team of people or a single person, but they post all of these amazing finds. And even post-holiday, where you can get substantial deals after Christmas. You can find things that are even home decor. Not something you want to spend money on prior to Christmas, but you can absolutely get it after Christmas and save it for the fall. And so that was one thing that I really found helpful to this day. For the last 15 years, I've really used social media, but for that site in particular, I used, speaking of apps, like I do use a newer one. I do use Too Good to Go.
Okay. I know you told me about this one.
I love that one.
This one's great.
Fabulous. So it is an app and it's local restaurants, that pizza places, Italian places, bagel stores. Bagels are great. And you go on the app and it geolocates, it tells you what's in your area, and they have what they call surprise bags. Now, you can't pick what you're getting, but you can get bagels for $5.99. And bagels is about 3 dozen or 4 dozen bagels that you are getting for $5.99. And it's food that they were simply going to throw out end of the night. And I love it because if you walked in before me and asked for 3 dozen bagels, you're paying the same price that I'm paying. For 3 dozen bagels, I paid $5.99. You're paying like $40.
Yeah, right? I was going to say.
So you're paying a lot of money. And again, if you're not a picky eater, fabulous. You don't know what you're getting, but for $5 or $6, I eat it, I freeze it, I'll save them. I freeze the bagels, my kids defrost them. They're like fresh out of the oven. They're fabulous. Wow. But Too Good to Go is fabulous, and it's food that sadly, they were just going to throw out because
Right.
they didn't sell it that day. It's fresh food. It's just
Pizza,
pizza,
anything.
eggs, or those kind of sandwiches that
Right,
sometimes they'll
okay.
make, or heroes, bagels, Italian restaurants, even places like Whole Foods. The prepared foods they have.
They have it too good to
they
go
have Too
for
Good to
Whole
Go.
Foods?
They do.
Oh my God.
So,
I
it's
didn't
like
know
the
that.
prepared foods. It's
Okay.
all the prepared foods.
Okay.
You jump on there in the morning and you see what's offered. You do have a specific pickup time, so sometimes they're a little bit late, like
Okay.
a pizza place. But if you plan, I'm big on planning, if you plan accordingly and you're going to be out picking the kids up late, just run
Swing
into the
by.
pizza place and pick up
Yeah.
Too Good to Go. And
You have a week's worth of food right there.
You've got food.
Wow.
So, and it's substantially cheaper than if I
Right.
was going to go pick up a pizza, just pick up any random pizza. It's
Right.
substantially cheaper.
Yeah, that's very good.
I also use a lot of all the stores have like their loyalty apps.
Okay.
And all you have to do is open it before you go, again, planning, and you just sit there and clip the coupons that they offer you. I can't tell you how many people do not do that, and I'll mention it to somebody, and they'll say, no, I don't do that. But if I know I'm going to the store in the morning, I have my coffee and I open the app. And I just click the coupons. That's all you have to do. It's not even cutting anymore. It's not physically cutting a coupon. I have
God.
to open an app and I just tap, clip.
Wow.
And the amount of money you can save just by doing something like that is substantial if you
And
look at
then-
it over the course of a year.
For someone that's not very tech savvy, once you clip the coupon, what do? You go to the register with
Yes.
that? Okay.
So you'll clip the coupons. And then when you scan like your loyalty card or
Okay.
you'll open the
Oh,
app.
it'll automatically-
deduct the coupons that
okay.
you have then clipped. Yes.
They make it so easy nowadays.
It's so simple. And that's
Right.
why I don't know why I had to do it out of sheer necessity because of my circumstance.
Right.
But then on the same flip side, I wonder if someone's offering you just open the app and just tap the button, and they'll give you money just
Right.
for tapping the
Right.
button. Why don't you just tap the button? Because it's so simple to
Right.
do. And if you just put a little bit of thought into it and you
Right.
plan your week and you say, okay, on Tuesday, I'm going to go to the store.
Right.
On Monday night or Tuesday morning, it doesn't take very long. Again, while you're having your coffee in the morning, open the app, just clip the coupons.
Right.
And
I think a lot of people say, I don't have time for that. But I guess it's the same concept as I don't have time to go to the gym or I don't
Yes.
have time to eat healthy. It's like you have to make time.
you have to make time. It's because of my circumstance, I
Right.
found you had to plan.
Right.
I had to plan.
Yeah.
And this became one of the things I simply had to plan for. And now it's just part of my life.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
awesome.
do that. There's some other apps like Rakuten and Honey.
Oh,
So
what is Honey?
Honey provides you with codes for online shopping. So it actually it's an app. I think they still have an extension that you
Okay.
can put on your web browser. And as you're shopping, it'll be searching for valid codes that you can try to use.
Wow,
Yeah.
those discount codes. I always like,
Yes.
oh, I don't have a discount code.
Yes, but
so
you can
now
find them.
I can go to Honey and
Put
find
Honey
those
and find
discount
it.
codes.
Yes. So
That's great.
They're on there. And not an app, but I stopped shopping at supermarkets.
Okay.
So I did flip to more Costco shopping.
Yes, let's talk about some Costco tricks.
So I love Costco.
Okay.
However, you have to be careful because it can be a financial downfall for some people if you don't do it carefully.
Okay, all
So,
right. People go,
Costco's-
it's very impulsive, right?
Yes,
you
and that's
go
the
there.
thing. You have to stop the impulsivity.
Right, because you go there and I'm like, oh my God, I want that Christmas Grinch.
Yes.
And then,
You don't need the Christmas Grinch before Christmas.
okay,
Maybe you want them like closer to Christmas.
right. But that's how they get you though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because then they take it away and then you're like, oh, I should have got it when it was
Yes.
out. And then they put it back out.
Yes.
Right.
So for Costco,
Mm-hmm.
first of all, I try to limit my shopping to once a week.
Okay.
So I know so many people who stop at the store regularly. I simply can't do that.
Right.
Because I don't have the money to do it.
Okay.
So I plan, I have a list, and I go once a week to
Okay.
Costco. And there's certain things that you look for if the price ends in a 97 or it's something other than the 99.
Okay.
Pay attention to it because it's either going to be a discontinued item. So they've marked it down. They're getting rid of it.
Okay.
I mean, you won't see it again there. So look at the prices that end in something other than 99. So usually it's a
Okay.
97.
Okay.
And there's some kind of special deal usually, or it's a discontinued item at Costco.
Okay.
So they're not going to carry it. And again, you might find a better deal
Okay.
on that particular item. At Costco, gas
Ooh.
is huge. So this is where one of the pitfalls can come into play. But they do have a credit card at Costco, and you earn 5% cash back if you purchase gas at the Costco gas station.
Okay.
So you have to buy the gas, but gas isn't something that I think you should necessarily buy with a credit card, because if you're not paying that credit card off immediately, you can quickly add up a large sum of money on a credit card. But you get 5% cash back.
Okay.
If you're an executive member, you're also earning cash back because you have to swipe your card.
Oh.
So you earn almost like double cash back in a sense. And so gas is huge, and you are saving a lot of money. And if you use their credit card, they apply it to an end of year cash back bonus.
Okay.
For example, from January until now, which is mid-March, just from gas and grocery shopping at Costco, I see in my app, I have already earned almost $60 cash back. So I will get a check next February. So it's once a year they'll send you the money.
Okay.
But I've already earned almost $60.
And so they'll give you the actual cash. Oh, it's not just goes on your card.
No, it's cash. So you can use it in like Costco. So it's similar to getting your Costco reward. If you have an executive membership, it'll appear in your account, and you can apply it to your next Costco shopping. And so I've already earned in 2.5 months, I've earned like about $60 cash back.
That's awesome.
I do use their credit card for their purchases and gas, but things like groceries and gas, personally, I think you should try to use cash if you can, or using the card to get the benefit of the cash back, but you have to pay it off because the interest rates are so high that if you don't, you're negating your cash back reward at the end of the year.
26%.
Yeah, it's
What's
gone.
the point?
So you have to be really, again, cognizant of that fact that if you are using a credit card, in this case, Costco's, if you're using the credit card, you have to be really cognizant of that fact that, I'm using it because I'm getting a benefit of using that card. But by the same token, if I don't pay that bill, the interest that I will accrue will negate the benefit of the card. So gas is huge there. Again, I keep saying it, but the planning. You make a list and you stick to it, because Costco does set you up almost for failure because of how they place their stuff. And once you start roaming the aisles and
they have multi-million-dollar marketing teams and psychological teams that know if you put the coffee here,
they're going to buy it.
They're going to buy it.
Yes. So you really have to fight the impulse buy.
Yeah.
That's hard. It's hard. But if you put it in the cart, you have the rest of the store to consider that purchase. Again, do I really need this?
Is it worth it?
Is it really worth it to get this cute little Christmas decoration, or do I really need it? So you do have the rest of the time that you're shopping. You can really consider that impulse buy. But yes, you have to fight the impulse. You have to have a little impulse control there. Yeah. But I go with a list, and I really don't deviate from the list.
Okay. So that's one way that you could stop the impulse, is just go off that list.
You have to.
I've done that so many times where I go to a place knowing I need something, and I end up leaving with 10 other things.
I have that in my list.
Yeah, because I was like, but you go there and you're like, oh, this is that. And then you leave and you're like, I came for milk. And I got 10 other, I didn't even get what I wanted.
So if you plan and you go through your pantry and you go through the refrigerator and you look and say, okay, I definitely need these items, I'm going to get them at Costco. You can look on the app, they show you what's even on sale. So you can stock up on certain bulk items like toilet paper, towels, things that aren't going to go bad, laundry detergent, soap, those types of things. If, they're on sale, I might pick an extra one up. If I'm running low, I don't really need it this week, but the sale is ending. You know what? I'm going to need it. So I'll pick it up today instead. But I definitely go with a list. And I try very hard not to deviate from the list. And you really have to fight that desire to pick up the cute little whatever at the end of the aisle.
But in your opinion, what are people wasting their money on?
Oh, lots of things. I see it every day. And with my background, I'm like, oh. And I feel bad for the people because I don't know if maybe they don't realize it. But I think number one is subscription services that you are not utilizing.
Yes.
That you're not using.
God, I have so many.
Gym memberships. You never go to the gym. You're spending this money every month. And If you don't go to the gym, cancel it. And you can take a walk. I exercise. I don't have a gym membership. I run and walk all 4 seasons. I go out, it's freezing cold in the snow. I'm still outside. So cancel it.
Okay.
If you have these subscription services that you're never home and you've got 5 streaming services, you're not watching them.
Yes.
So cancel them.
Yes.
It's not forever.
That's how they get you, though.
Yes, because they're banking on the fact that you're not paying attention.
Right.
You're not utilizing them. They auto bill every month.
Yes.
And if you don't pay attention, you're not utilizing them, you can cancel it.
Yeah.
It's not forever.
Yeah.
If you decide in 6 months, you know what, I do miss Netflix. I want it back. You can just rejoin. It's not the end of the world. And in fact, if you do quit, oftentimes they'll send you emails. We want you back.
And
they'll give you a better deal.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Yeah, so I think subscription services, things like the gym that are not being utilized are really a big money waster.
Yes.
So that's one. I think a lot of I see it all the time, the delivery apps. Like Uber Eats or one of those types of things. DoorDash. Because not only are you paying for the food, you're paying a tip and you're paying a delivery fee on all of them. So that really adds up.
Because you're lazy and you just don't want to pick it up. So you're giving that, it's like a convenience fee.
Right. And so I think that's one thing that people just open the app and say, I don't feel like going now. I'm hungry right now. Yeah. So instead of maybe looking in the refrigerator or going to get something that I could make myself, yes, is it going to take a little bit longer?
It's the planning thing.
The planning thing. And financially speaking, you are saving a lot of money by not opening a delivery app and placing an order. And I think I see a lot of parents who give their children unfettered access to an app like that. They don't have a job. They are using your money. And not only are they buying it for themselves, but sometimes they're friends.
They're friends, yes.
And they're having all this food delivered and it becomes a large bill. I think if you can cut those out, and I'm not saying all the time, maybe you're sick and it's the only way you're by yourself and it's the only way you can get something right now. Okay, yes. I'm saying religious use of these types
Every
of
Friday
apps.
night, you DoorDash.
You DoorDash.
Let's not do that.
Let's not do that.
Okay.
It's like a lot.
Okay.
I see people who say, I went to the store and I got this great sweater and it was on sale.
Okay,
but you didn't go to buy the sweater. So you may have saved $10 because the sweater you saved $10 if you bought the sweater, but you weren't buying a sweater. When you went out that day, that was not on your list of things to do. So you didn't save $10, you spent $30. So buying things on sale is great, but if it's not something you were really looking to buy and you didn't need, did you really save?
Oh, that's,
you spent.
That's so true.
You spent. And I see a lot of people, and I've been guilty of it too, where you run to the store and you didn't check your stockpile of things, like cleaning supplies.
Do I have? Yeah.
And you're like, I don't know if I have it. I'm going to buy it anyway.
Yeah.
And then when you go and you reorganize things, you have 5 of that item. I didn't need it. So really checking, planning, and seeing what you need before you buy it, I think is something that people should do. And when they don't do it, it is a waste. It's a financial drain because you bought things you did not need. I could have waited on that. Those are things I see. I'm sure there's plenty others.
It's that dopamine hit. Though you go there, even though you were going for something else, and you're like, oh, I really want that. So it's that you got to ask yourself, is it worth it? Do I really need it? And then just move on.
Just move on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then that's how I think. And
right.
In the grand scheme of things, in 10 years from now, will that item have mattered? No, probably not. Most likely not. You probably won't even remember that you wanted it. Well, yeah, that's how I learned to live my life.
I know a lot of people, myself included, that think they're minimalists, and then I look and I have 10 to 15 sweatshirts of the same type. Like, maybe different color, maybe not. It's just like, why do I need all the... But I get it. All right, so let's go back to, at some point, you were financially stable enough to buy a house.
Yes.
How did that all come about?
That wasn't an easy decision to make, and I was not doing it by myself. I'll be honest, I did have help. My parents were a huge help when it came to that. But when I did lose the house, ultimately I did lose the house. And that was unfortunate, and I just could not do anything to save it. Like, it was a loss at that point. And I did rent for
Okay.
2 years, because at that point, going through all of the financial issues and a divorce and taking care of a house is also a huge
Expense.
undertaking and a huge expense. And it's landscaping and cleaning, and it's constant. And I honestly, at that point, when I no longer had the house, I made the decision to rent for 2 years. And I felt it was a way of relieving some of the stress, because if something broke, it wasn't my problem. And I did it for 2 years, but I did not want to do it forever.
Okay.
I did want to own a home. I thought it was a good financial investment. It's not something that's going to really depreciate in value. And it was something that I could maybe someday leave my kids, or I would have money from that to someday maybe give to them. I'd have something for them. And so when I made the decision to start looking to purchase again, I did have my parents to help, but together we were able to get the mortgage payment to really what my rent was.
No, okay.
And the cost of rent, where I was just going higher and higher. In
Right.
fact, now that same rental is more than my mortgage.
Wow.
So I knew that could not be a long-term sustainable option for me either. I did it as a very short-term stress relief.
Right.
I need a break.
Yeah.
And I did it, again, out of sheer necessity, not ideal by any stretch of the imagination, but I did what I had to do. So because of, again, I was fortunate that I did have family to help, but I was able to get back into a house, and honestly, it's now cheaper than what I would have been paying if I was renting.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So what financial habits did you do in order to maintain the house and keep the house? And
So I have a motto. Some people laugh at me, but
Okay.
one of two things. I always say, if it's free, it's for me.
if it's free, it's for me.
Yes, you can
Okay.
find a lot of free things.
Okay.
Okay, so if it's free, it's for me.
Okay.
And I try really hard to never pay full price. Ever.
Okay.
Ever. So there's certain things, of course, you can't get around. But I really try very hard. So things like your television, internet, streaming services, you call them.
You call
I call them. And in fact, I have to do it again. This weekend, I'm doing it for like the home TV and
Right.
internet. You call and you say, I'm no longer paying this, and I rebundle it.
You
okay?
negotiate
I
the price.
negotiate it
Okay.
every time. And
Wow.
I negotiate it. And inevitably, if you ask enough times, they will find you a deal.
Wow.
And if they don't initially, you just say, okay,
I'm going to
I'm
go to
gonna
a
cancel.
different. Yeah. Uh-huh.
And usually they'll put you through to a retention department because
Okay.
they don't want to lose you as a customer.
Okay.
And there they'll magically find you a better deal.
Wow. Okay.
I constantly look at that and reevaluate, again, what's worth it and what's not. Again, I'm not living like a completely ridiculous lifestyle. Yes, I have TV and we have internet, but I'm also not paying more
Right.
for it than I should be. So in fact, they just recently sent me an email that said they were raising the rates. So I will be calling them. No way. Like, I am not paying more for the exact same
Right.
service. In fact, a lot of times it's less of a service. So you call them and don't pay full price. I told my mom once, she had the car streaming music or whatever, and she had to renew the contract. And I said, oh my goodness, you are paying an astronomical amount of money. And I'm talking like a couple $100. Like, it was ridiculous.
Wow.
And I said, no, you don't pay full price for them.
Yeah.
And she took my advice, and it went from some astronomical amount of money down to, I don't know, $15 a month.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you just have to call them.
Wow.
Yeah, and you do that with, for example, everyone has large or unplanned expenses. It's going to happen.
Yes.
Everyone. The boiler breaks,
Yeah.
the roof, the car,
Yeah.
car repairs, things like that. And so do you have to use a credit card occasionally? Of course. You can't pay cash for everything. It's not realistic
Right.
for everybody. And there's a lot of credit cards that if you call them, they will offer you some kind of special APR.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Just say, listen, I would love to use your card. I'm also not paying 26% interest.
Wow.
And usually they'll find a promotional thing. And I just did it recently, and it was down to 6%.
So cards that you already have.
I already have it. And
You
I
call
just,
up and
yep.
you just say, hey.
Listen, hey, I'm not going to use your card
Anymore. I'm going to cancel.
I'm going to cancel it or I'm going to use something else, because 26% is a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
And they lowered it, and I got it for 6%.
Wow.
Yes.
So call them.
I call them. I just call.
Wow.
What's the worst that can happen? They'll say no.
And then you just
I
cancel.
use it.
Yeah.
Canceling credit cards I don't like to do because, of course, that impacts your credit score.
Yeah.
So I don't cancel them, but
Just
I'll
don't
look for
use them.
something else
Yeah.
because oftentimes you'll get a promotional type card. You do have to read the fine print because there's always hidden things that you want to
Right.
be careful of. There's an annual fee. I'm not paying an annual fee to use a credit card. I just don't use it enough to have any kind of benefit from that. Some people who travel a lot might definitely yield a benefit from paying that annual fee because they're going to get a lot more in return.
Yeah.
Personally, it's not worth it to me, so I don't do those types of things. But there's plenty of cards that if you have a large unplanned expense and you have to use a credit card, I would call them and see if they have any kind of promotional offers for you. Or if you have a little bit of time, it's not something you have to fix today, but
Right.
it's coming. Shop around because there
Right.
are cards that you might be able to get
Yeah.
that have 0% for a
Yeah.
year, for 12 months. You get
Right.
0%. Again, always look at the fine print because
Right.
sometimes it'll say if you don't pay it off in this promotional period, they
Then it
will
will-
tack on
yeah.
the back interest. So you do want to be aware of that. That's like one of the things that I try to do when I can.
Right.
Is you simply call.
Yeah. That's great.
Oh.
What's free is for me.
Yes, it's free. It's for me.
And it's free to subscribe, by the way. So please subscribe. What would you tell your younger self? Now that you know all this, you're financially stable and actually very literate about everything. What would you tell your younger self?
That's tough.
Especially before getting into this relationship, maybe.
I feel like I was rather financially literate my whole life.
Okay.
I feel like I was pretty good with money, which again is why what happened to me was devastating
Right.
because that's not who I was. I think in terms of money and relationships, I'm finding more and more people where this was the case in their relationship. And I wish somebody had told me that, listen, you did all these things. You've planned for a relationship. You're in a relationship. But this piece of it, this is more of a partnership. It's more of a business deal. And that this has to be an open part of every relationship. And when it's not, and there's that inequity in the financial aspect of a relationship, it's problematic. And it doesn't have to be as extreme as mine situation was, but it's problematic. And I wish somebody had said that to me, or that was part of something I had learned when I
Right.
was a teenager in my early 20s. Right. Getting into a relationship means that you have to explore this and this, but you have the finance. It has to be a
You
piece
have
of
to
that.
you have to have the hard conversations
Yeah.
about finances and about
Yes.
money and how do you spend your money and how can we be a team?
Yes, and I
what is it?
thought I had done that. I really did. I thought I had done that. And I think, money aside, I think I went into things just very trusting, not thinking that anyone who said they loved you could ever possibly
Right.
do something like this to you.
Who would have thought, though?
You
I mean,
don't think of that. No, and
that's why people get prenups now.
yes.
So I'm a big believer in that. I should have gotten that, but
Right,
now
right,
I know
didn't.
future-wise,
correct.
you know. But
Yeah, no, I think that's like a big thing, is not necessarily the money piece. Really go into things with your eyes open. And now, when you have that sense, that gut feeling that something's wrong, I listen to it 100% of the time. And usually it's right.
I think a lot of people in general, but I'm going to just say women in general, they don't listen to their intuition. Because I think a lot of these relationships, whether it's financial abuse, emotional abuse, domestic, physical abuse, they have the intuition. They know it's wrong. They
Yes.
know they should not, there's something wrong. They should not be in this relationship, but it's just the hardest thing is about how do I get out of it? I know something is not right in me. I have the intuition, but to follow through, to get out of it is just,
It's very difficult.
yeah.
Extremely difficult. And looking back, if I didn't have the support that I did have, I don't know where I would be today. And I look at a lot of people who are in that situation, and I think it's so overwhelming, financially especially. It is so overwhelming. that if I could look back, even at my younger self dealing with it, I think I did an okay job dealing with it. Again, simply because I had no choice. But if I were to look at somebody else going through this with young children, I would probably want them to know that it's going to be hard. I'm not going to sugarcoat it and say it's not. It's going to be very hard. But you have to try, and you have to take it either minute by minute, day by day. And will there be days where you feel extremely defeated? Oh yeah, there will be. But you have to look at it in the long term, and that if you are making conscious changes now financially, that the hope is that in the long run, 5-10 years down the road, you will be in a better place than you are today. But you can't give up. You have to get up every morning. You put 2 feet in front of the other, 1 foot in front of the other.
Right.
You just go. And maybe today you only saved like $5, but it's $5 more than you had yesterday. And it's hard. It will be so hard, but your kids need you, and you have to do this for them. You want the best for your kids, and they did not put themselves in this position, and it's not their fault that this is what happened, but you need to just try. It's not going to be a perfect situation, and even saving money, it's not going to be perfect. It will not be perfect, and you will have unexpected things that pop up, and you will feel defeated because you saved $7,000, let's say. You made it. You had a goal dollar amount, you made it, your car broke.
Yeah.
And there goes the money that you had worked so hard to save for something else. And it does feel as if you're being defeated a lot of times, but you got that far. We're able to do it once, you can do it again. And I think it's sad when people, they give up and they just say, I don't know, I can't do it. And they put themselves in a worse position mentally, emotionally, and then you have the finances on top of it. And it's really hard. If you have a position like this and you're struggling, if you don't have family or friends that can help, you need somebody to help you. You need somebody to talk to at the very least. And once you have a person, I felt like just one person helping you, it changes your mindset in some ways. And then once you have that mindset where your headspace is in a better place, and going forward and tackling the finances of a situation like this for a single mom or a single parent is just that much easier because you had somebody to say, you know what, you can do it.
Right.
Just do it. Go ahead. Let's try. I'll help you. Things like that, I think, was something I would tell my younger self.
Okay. Yeah. And you had that, so that was great.
I did.
Yeah.
Again, in the moment, it is exhausting, overwhelming, devastating.
Yeah.
It feels like you will never ever get out of this situation that you're in.
Yeah.
When you have young children, you're looking at potentially 18 years more of school and daycare and sports, and those are financially draining on a parent. And
so
again,
let's say that person listening, right, is that single parent, and they're in it. They are in it.
Yeah.
They're feeling the financial lack. They're maybe have been abused or just in a relationship that is toxic, or they know they need to get out. What is your advice?
You need a plan.
Okay.
And again,
There you
I'm
go.
big on planning.
Yes,
You need a plan.
Okay.
It's not possible for everybody in my situation to simply walk away.
Okay.
When you don't have access to money, it is impossible. And it feels impossible to leave. How do you leave? You need money to survive with children.
Yeah.
How do you leave? Unless it's something where it is a situation where your life is at stake, and you obviously need to leave immediately. You need to formulate a plan, and you need an exit strategy that is doable. And it may not be doable for the long term, but you need a short-term plan to get out of that relationship. And it's going to seem very difficult because usually in a situation like that, you have been put in a position where you are completely dependent on the other person, and that was done with intent. Like, this didn't happen to me overnight. This was not like snap your fingers and this was my situation. It was a slow process. I was made to feel like I didn't have a job. I gave up my job. Because I was home with my kids, I didn't have a social network. I was isolated. I didn't have access to money. So these things don't happen overnight. And because of that, it's not something you can necessarily escape overnight, but you do need a plan. There has to be some kind of plan in place. And if you can just start saving a little bit here and there, get a job, part-time job, kids are in school, do something that is yours and you take control of the money that comes from that. It is a little step towards that financial freedom. And it is devastating because I'm sure most people don't go into a relationship thinking it will end, that they will be a single parent, that they will have to deal with divorce. It's devastating, but in the long term, I think in most cases, it's beneficial. And you have to do what you have to do.
Got it.
Yeah.
Love it. So what does financial security mean to you now?
It's really priceless.
Little pun there.
Yeah, it's peace.
Yeah.
I watch people who live, I think, in a lot of debt, and it's extremely stressful. And I think the peace that comes with the way I live my life now is really priceless. I don't have a lot of debt. I live my simple life. I do things and I enjoy my life. People look at it and be like, oh, you're frugal. You must not do anything, or you live a boring life, or you're really cheap. No, I do a lot of things. I enjoy my life. I have fun. I just do it with that in mind. And I think that it just brings a sense of peace. I'm not worried about the constant bills, the influx of bills. And I think a lot of people would benefit from that.
Yeah.
It is just a peaceful existence. So
I love that.
yeah, just peace. It's priceless.
That's what we all need.
Yep.
Any t-shirt. Peace is priceless.
Priceless. It is.
I love it. So basically, give me your parting words, maybe some parting advice, or just things that you would like to say to anyone listening on anything that we talked about.
I think, the biggest takeaway from me from this entire experience was planning is always key. And I've said it so many times already, but it really is key. And before you buy anything, if it's small coffee, like a coffee, before I buy whatever, I have to stop and think, is this something that I really need? Or is this satisfying a momentary stress? So for example, day was really busy. We have to have dinner. Things are happening later. So I could go and stop at the pizza place and order pizza. But do I have things at home that we could just make it work for tonight? Do I really need it? Before I online shop, because a lot of impulsivity comes from that. And I have all this stuff in my shopping cart. Do I really need it? And I wait a little bit. Let it sit there. There's no pressure to buy it right now. In fact, if you don't buy it right now, you'll often get an email saying, hey, you have stuff in your cart, and if you check out now, we'll give you like 10% off. So you let it sit there. Just let it sit. And go back to it. And again, look at it in a day. All right, you know what? I put that in the cart. Is it really something I need? Yesterday, I might have wanted it. Today, different mindset. I bought it, or I put it in the cart because in the moment it made me feel good. 24 hours later, I don't really need it. Right. So really be intentional about how you are spending your money, where you put your money, and ask yourself, like, is this really matter?
Is it worth it?
Is it worth it?
Yeah.
Do I need it?
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing if people want to make a financial change. It's not going to make you a millionaire, but will it make you more financially? It could if you do it the right way.
If you're investing it in the right spot.
If you invest it correctly, God knows. Who knows? But yes.
Yeah.
But will it bring you some security and with it, peace?
Yes.
I think it will. Again, very intentional spending, intentional planning. Mindful. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much. This was amazing.
Welcome.
I've learned so much. I know my takeaways right now are going to be, is it worth it? Free is for me. Be intentional, especially when you go to Costco.
Yes.
Because they always get you.
Oh, a lot of stores do, but yes, they do.
And I'm going to make my calls. I'm going to call the cable company. I'm going to call all the utility, everything. I'm just going to make my phone calls instead of just accepting.
This is the cost.
This is it. And just going with it. Wow. Thank you so much for being here.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
And we'll see you later. I want to thank Diane so much for sharing her story and all these incredible tips. I think what people will really take away from this conversation is that getting financially stable isn't about doing everything perfectly. It's about making small, intentional decisions over time that really add up. If you found this episode helpful, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss future conversations like this. And please share this episode with someone who might be struggling financially, going through a divorce, or just trying to get smarter about saving money. And if you'd like to listen to more conversations like this, you can click on one of the other episodes right here. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, like I always say, it really does start with you. See you next time.